Hello, Recovery Live. Pastor Nick here again. Listen, we are doing a July 4th thing outside, so I wanted to put an online message up for you guys. And today I want to talk to you a minute about freedom from. And we're going to talk about what that means, but I want you to think back to on this day, July 4th in 1776. The 13 colonies signed and sent their Declaration of Independence to King George III of England. They did that because they were trapped in a system that didn't work for them. They were trapped in a life that wasn't good. And they wanted to change the way their life worked. They wanted to get free from oppression. They wanted to get free from the things that were hurting them and breaking them. So this document declared their freedom from this oppressive rule by the King of England. That document was amazing and powerful. And if you think about it, we need those kind of things in our own life. Maybe a handwritten note to ourselves that I'm freeing myself from this. And I want to talk to you about that because many of us in this world feel like we are under the oppressive rule of something that we need to find freedom from. It may be substance abuse or whatever. When we speak of recovery, everyone jumps to those thoughts, right? Of drugs and alcohol. But substances are real problems. They really are. And they add a layer to this that's even worse. But addiction encompasses so much more. I mean, what about pornography? Oh, yeah, nobody wants to talk about that one. Or gambling, or food, or cell phones. God knows we all have these phones in front of us every day, and we tend not to put them down. I mean, some of us can't leave home without them. That's me. But we really have to realize that we have addictions in our life, things that trap us and hold us hostage. Just like the government of England held the colonies hostage really for their taxes and for everything else and would not give them any representation. Well, lots of things in our life do the same thing. But see, in my experience, when we talk about addictions and all that, it's just a symptom or a way to mask the pain that we feel inside. I want to explain that even more, but I want you to get this, that some of us go to those addictive behaviors, some of us don't, but we all have pain inside that is limiting our life. Just like these colonists were under an oppressive rule, we're oppressively ruled by our emotions and by circumstance that has happened in our life, sometimes abuse, sometimes other things. Things like traumas and hurts and loneliness and grief and loss and anger issues, anxiety, depression, codependency, low self-esteem. There's a big list of this, but I want you to get the fact that all of us have something that has us a little bit broken inside, a little bit to where we can't function in our life the way we want to. And maybe we need to find freedom from those things. Maybe we need to declare our independence. How do we do that? Well, we need to start with the very thoughts that maybe I can change. Maybe I can change. Maybe I don't have to be this way. These are the things that we need to find freedom from. And like those people, those 13 colonies, we need to declare our independence. We need to be free from these things. So how do we do it? Well, that's easy. Number one, we turn to God for direction. Let me get you this way. Some people that listen to my voice don't always follow Jesus. That's cool. But let me tell you this. I ran my own life for so long into the ground. But when I turned to God, God gave me directions that led me out of the paths I was on, ones that were better than when I was walking. If you turn to God for directions, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and don't depend on your own understanding. Seek His will in all you do, and He will show you which path to take. I think we need to start there. We need to start with a foundation. I mean, these guys that led the 13 colonies, they started with a foundation of a document written mostly by Thomas Jefferson, but written, that was the foundation of their independence. They wrote it out, and you could write yours out as well. Write out, I need freedom from this, and start working that and do that. And then number two, after we do that thing to God where I need direction, I need to do this, we have to choose to make the hard choice. See, this is where it gets complicated and when we're trying to deal with things in us that hurt us, because sometimes it feels much easier just to stay in the dysfunction, right? It's just easier for me to say, I am okay with this, right? I'm okay with low self-esteem. I'm okay with being abused. Maybe you're not. But guys, I need you to get this, that you don't have to be either way. Just like those colonists, we need to declare our independence from things. We need to step away. And hear me on this. It may cost you. It may cost you friends. It may cost you just financially. It may cost you emotionally. But in the end, it will be worth it if you choose to make the hard choice. If you want to change, something has to change. Something has to change in us for us to have change in our life, to make us better and more the person that God wants us to be. So I really want you to think about that for just a sec. Can I grow past this and make that hard choice? Decide what it is and choose it. Write it down. Write your Declaration of Independence out. Hebrews 12:1 says it this way. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, this is talking about people in heaven looking down on us, seeing us, how we live our lives. It says, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses in this life of faith, let us strip off, and this is the important part, let us strip off every weight that slows us down. In other words, if things are interfering with your life, let's strip it off. Let's get rid of it. Let's choose to get rid of it. Strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin, and we have that too, the sin that makes it so easy for us to trip up. And let us run with endurance the race God sets before us. So if you let God set your path, right to you, okay? If God sets that direction for you, right, left, whatever, then you can run that race with endurance because you're leaning on God to do it. And because you've done that, trust God with all your heart, cast off those weights, and then run the race with endurance. And then number 3 is build a support system around yourself. The reason we do recovery programs is because it's a support system. It's people around you who will help you. Accountability partners and sponsors, and we can name that anything we want. We have groups in churches we call life groups or growth groups, but understand that they do the same thing, really. I mean, I don't know why people freak out at recovery, because it's really just getting a group of people together, working through your issues together, growing together, healing together. And that's what we want to do here. We want to build a support system that we can heal together with. Proverbs 13:10 says this, pride leads to conflict. Hear me on this. But those who take advice are wise. Sometimes we need people to advise us. We haven't made great choices in our life, or we wouldn't be where we are now. So we need to make better choices. And sometimes you need advice from somebody who's been there and done that. So they can say, look, I did that too. Maybe try this. That accountability system around you, that support system, will help you get on a better path and help keep you there when God gives you direction. God says go right, and we're always tempted to go left, right? That's how that works. Bing, bing, bing. We always want to choose something else. But make a good choice, okay? You've written it down, you do it, you get a support system, you're following God's path. And here's the kicker. The last thing you got to do is accept your freedom. You see, the Bible says that in John 8:36, if Jesus sets you free, then you're truly free. One of the problems we have in life is I've watched so many people over the many years I've done recovery. I've watched so many people come in and they get a victory, they get a win, and they get free from something, and they still live like they're not free from it. You see, many of the things in the colonies didn't change right away just because they wrote a Declaration of Independence. Matter of fact, that hard choice they made put them in a war. And some of these choices we make may put us in a war too. But take the wins where you get them. And also, you got to understand that if God sets you free, if Jesus sets you free, then take the win, take the freedom that he gives you. Because you are free from those hurts if you just will let yourself be. During World War II, they put soldiers out on islands through the island chains in the Philippines and other areas not just the Japanese. The Japanese were a little longer out than we were, but it took weeks, sometimes months, to get to all those soldiers and let them know the war was over in World War II. All these Pacific Island soldiers took forever to get contact with. And when they finally got with them and let them know the war was over, they had been continuing the fight when they didn't need to. I think we need to understand the same thing, that we don't need to continue a fight when we've already won. So when you get a win, when you get a victory, when you get freedom, accept it. You know, it's really hard, especially with people like me who had low self-esteem, to accept that freedom, that win. It took me years to really go, you know what, I am okay. I'm okay just the way I am. Take that win. Guys, and I want you this time, on this July 4th, declare your independence, live it out, and let God guide your steps. Thanks for joining us today. I will see you next time. Happy 4th.